Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a really fun review for you guys from the brand Strapcode. Of course, they were established back in 2004. They're out of Hong Kong, and they really specialize in high-quality aftermarket strap options covering everything from NATOs and purlins to solid metal bracelets and everything in between, including fine leather straps as well as Milanese mesh. Now, today what we're going to look at is their Super J Louis. So this, of course, comes after the recent name change away from Jubilee to J Louis. I'm sure this has something to do with Rolex, essentially. But this is their Super J Louis bracelet option for the Orient Kamasu, which in many places was known as, the Mako 3. And what people really need to understand is that Orient Japan never named any of these watches apart from RN-AA0002L. That's really just what they name them in different regions, different arms of Orient. And Orient USA decided to call this one the Kamasu. So if you're in the US, you'll think of it as a Kamasu. If you're in Europe, you might have been buying this thing and calling it the Mako 3. I personally, when I look at the case back, I deduce that this is actually more similar to the Ray line. But that's just me. I don't know. Maybe some time's passed and I'm just mixing up some things. Go ahead and feel free to correct me in the comments below when it comes to that little case back mystery there. But I also in frame do have another strap bracelet pairing, combining with Orient and the Orient Triton and their Angus-J Louis bracelet from Strapcode. So I did want to have both of these on camera and kind of go over some of the differences, because I think, generally people might be kind of looking within these kind of two tiers of watch and then these kind of two options in aftermarket bracelets, because let's face it, guys, at these price points, watches, especially sports watches, are just not going to have the greatest bracelets. You might get a decent wearable strap option once in a while, but honestly, the bracelets are normally pretty tinny. So these are almost just, well, when I say almost, I mean, actually they're pretty necessary upgrades. I tend to not wear any of the, out of the box bracelets for these types of watches, and they pretty much just go in the watch box with some sizing links if I reviewed them fitted. But let's go ahead and take a closer look. Okay, so the star of the show for this review is, of course, this pairing here. You got the Kamasu, and this is the blue dial model, really great. And then you do also have this excellent Strapcode Super J Louis bracelet. I'm trying to get used to it, guys. I'm gonna force myself through calling it the J Louis. But essentially, guys, it's a Jubilee bracelet, right? That's the style that you know it as. Similar to most 3-link bracelets, and you call them oyster bracelets, oyster style. So this has a really nice fitment, as you can imagine. This is really Strapcode's specialty, and that's why they're able to kind of demand such premium prices. The nice thing about this option is it's not super expensive. It's actually $86.99, and that's with this wonderful machined V clasp here. So with all the micro adjustment holes, which I think is absolutely great. You'll see a lot of micro brands using similar clasps, and it's for good reason. It's a very solid setup, and very clean and versatile. Now, of course, everything here is going to be that 316L stainless steel. You're going to get the brushed with some polished, of course, on the sides and down the center links there. You're also going to have that, that key 5-link design, 2 outer links and then 2 inner links. And of course, then you're going to have that nice center that goes all the way down the middle. This is going to have a beautiful taper that goes from 22 down to 18. So it does enable you to have a 20mm thick clasp. Really nicely done there. And everything is going to be screw pinned. So really easy as far as the changing of the bracelet goes, as far as sizing. And the nice thing is also you can save yourself some time by just basically using some of the micro adjust holes here to just feed some of that bracelet underneath, and it fits nicely underneath the clasp there, and helps really give you more options if your wrist starts swelling, or maybe you let a buddy with a larger wrist try on your watch or something like that. Then you do have a little bit of play without having to carry around a screwdriver kit. This thing is everything you would expect of it. But let's go ahead and take a look here at Big Brother in many ways. Big Brother as far as the watch head itself, but then also the Big Brother in the bracelet style. So you can see here is the Angus, which, nice. It's a big, bold wear in comparison to the more, I'd say, more refined, kind of almost luxurious look to this model here, with the very, as you can see, the scale in comparison, right? The little, although the links are essentially similar in shape, being kind of half circles down the sides, you can see it's just a much different scale. If you look at comparing those two, look at the size difference there. Quite large, very thick, and then of course this is a larger watch, 41, and I want to say the Triton, I want to say it's either a 42, 43-ish, maybe 44. But honestly, as you can see, not too much of a difference, and we'll even get these on wrist here in a minute and really deep dive into a little bit. But as you can see, both very nice options. I think, of course, this is more well suited to the bigger, bolder case. When you compare kind of the side angles, you can see that the Kamasu, of course, is a little bit of a thinner profile and whatnot, versus here, a little bit more bulky, a little bit more, tool oriented, versus here is going to go with more of your kind of versatility, kind of everyday wear. This is going to be something that definitely feels more like a diving instrument, versus just kind of an everyday companion. But some people like to take that kind of diver instrument with them on their everyday adventure. So really super finely executed. I mean, I'm really surprised that these haven't become more popular, because essentially they're a little brother to the pro saturation diver. And you're getting pretty much 90% of a pro saturation diver at less than half of the cost. So these are actually really, really fun watches. As you can see, it also has that really useful power reserve indicator up by the 1 o'clock. And it's just really just a fun watch. It's doing a lot of things here that I think a lot of fans have liked and asked for over the years. And then of course it's a nice example of kind of a larger scale, kind of more tooly variation. What's actually funny is I'm really digging that kind of duality between these two watches and the turtle reissue and the mini turtle. I started thinking about that. Like, the mini turtle has a 3 o'clock crown, a little bit smaller, definitely more mainstream in its looks. And then you have like the turtle reissue would be more similar, let's say, to the Triton, in that it's more of a retro look, larger watch. Just generally has more of a toolish vibe, so that could be a nice little face-off, because these watches have come a long way over the years. I think these watches are pretty far departed from your old school kind of Mako 1 series $150 special. These things are actually really, really nice. Just about the watch itself, if it's your first time checking out this video or my channel, the Kamasu, they retail for about 38,000 yen, or about $335 USD. But you can get them, street price, quote unquote, for around $250, in between $250 and $300, depending on what dealer you're going through and whatnot. But they're a really nice option, I think, when it comes to purchasing something with some lineage and whatnot, but also decently spec'd, because you are getting sapphire. You're even getting that protected lume pip, which is a really, really nice upgrade to pretty much every other Orient kind of entry-level diver in the Mako and Ray line. Even the Mako USA had that unprotected Lume pip, which can stain very easily. So with this now, I think it really almost kind of puts it over the top. Of course, it would have been nice to have solid end link bracelet, but the nice thing is here you get this really great option out of the box from Strapcode. So let's actually go ahead and get these pieces on the wrist. All right, as you can see, the Kamasu wears absolutely beautifully on my 7¼ inch wrist. Up close, you can see wraps really well, has nice soft contours there. And then this bracelet, as far as the scale, is just about perfect. Nice and thin, small, and just fits really well. Great range of motion. Everything is solid, screwed in, milled. So it definitely gives you a much more premium vibe than you had with the very tinny original bracelets. And I think that is just quite a looker. So let's go ahead and pop it off real quick. And now get a look at this bad boy, the big brother in comparison. And there actually is a full review of this bracelet and this watch. Oh, if you haven't seen it, check it out. You'll get to get some close-ups of cool things like that. Look at that case back. Gorgeous. So now you can see, as far as scale goes, what the difference might be in comparison. As you can see, definitely a lot more wrist presence here, much more kind of a retro, you know, tooly vibe. You get up close, this thing is beast mode, but it also does have really nice fitment, and the scale does suit the watch case and size pretty well. So digging that. I was actually probably one of the first people to purchase one of these. I think they might have even been called Angus Jubilees back then. Now they'd be Angus-J Louis. And I don't know, I think mine just got some weird QC on it where the center links look a little bit cloudy and the sides of the links are a little bit cloudy, almost to a point where it almost looks brushed to me, versus the polished, which is very clear, polished here, polished center link accents, and then the sides of the links here, they do read a little bit. That's not a weird thing with the camera. That's actually these, you know, maybe I should polish them up with a little cloth or something, but you know, it hasn't bothered me. But as you can see though, works really well. Great drape around the wrist, and of course everything is solid, solidly milled clasp. Just everything kind of comes together in a really great way. And yeah, I think this is a really underrated timepiece. And of course, if somebody sees it, you know, Orient, they don't have quite the same prestige level as something like a Seiko. Although I think people who know about Orient definitely give them their props. Generally, you know, even when I was stationed in Okinawa, when I was in Japan, you know, of course I spent about 10 years in the Marine Corps. I would go see Orient watches at the malls and Orient Star watches, and honestly, they almost look like fashion watches to me. And I think some of it is, of course, the branding there. It's just a little. It's a little regal, I think. But I you know, they're great watches. You know, they don't have the same type of I think horological significance as something, of course, like a Seiko, but they are under the same kind of Seiko Epson umbrella of products. So, you know, it's definitely very solidly done, and it's probably one of the reasons why Seiko brand watches have kind of moved out of that space, because Orient, I think, is really doing super well in that space right now. So with a little bit of growth, little brother gets to take some of the shine, and big brother can kind of focus on a bigger fish to fry. But you know, let's actually even get some Lume shots going for you guys. All right, we'll go ahead and hit the lights. As you can see, the Lume is absolutely outstanding on these two pieces using that Nemitomo Lume set. But really what I'm trying to do here, especially in this case, because what we're talking about is these bracelets, is more so to give you guys an idea of the fit and the finish. Maybe not the fit so much, but the finishing, guys, because these bright studio lights do a good job of of kind of washing out some of those finer details, which you might pick up better in low light. As you can see, as you watch the light glide over that brushing, it gives you a nice idea of just how fine that quality is and how uniform the brushing actually is. And then when you get to a harsher light, like here, as you can see, it does give you kind of expose, you know, if there are any rough points in finish or whatnot. So as you can just watch the light kind of roll over the shape and the contouring of these links, it does give you an idea that you can see that light is quite uniform and strong in its reflections. It's not all over the place, which like could be dispersed if it had a really sloppy brush on it. So really nice to see that the brushing is quite good. And then of course it gives you a nice look for those of you that might be interested in the watch itself. It gives you a nice idea how these colors are going to render in not just direct sunlight, but also in transitional lighting. And you can see there's quite a big difference on those dials. Look at that. That's a perfect example. The Kamasu is definitely higher contrast. You can see the deep, almost black, and then the super vibrant blue, how that pops, versus on the Triton, it's more of just a difference between shades of blue versus shades of black in there. So both really gorgeous, don't get me wrong, and they both render quite nice in full-on lighting, you know, as you're going to see back here now, fully well lit. But it does give you an idea. If you want something more of a true blue, then maybe the Triton's for you, and you want something more of that kind of high contrast and really enjoy the sunburst effect, then the Kamasu could be the one for you. You know, closing thoughts, they definitely wear extremely well, and due to that taper and that really nice flexible kind of link design that's associated with Jubilee-style bracelets, the J Louis really works quite nicely. And then you're going to get, of course, a really nice taper on it. The taper's down to 18 versus kind of your basic 20 millimeter that you would get from OEM. So you're going to get a more dramatic taper, which is going to make it more comfortable and just make it look a little bit more refined. I think visually, the design definitely suits the watch's kind of classic design aesthetic. And then, of course, you get it quite easy to adjust with those screw-in pins. And, you know, it really improves an already impressive watch package, you know, really without detracting from the original character. I think these strap options really flow, and you almost could think that they could be options from the brand. I think if Orient came out with a Jubilee style option, you know, I could easily see it looking something like this. I think it's probably way overbuilt for what they might offer, just because of the price point that they're trying to target with these watches. But you know, it's great for us, you know, and kind of the community, because we do have this great aftermarket where we can take a look and kind of take these really fabulous kind of watch heads and pair them to bracelets that just really enhance the character and really just add to that overall value proposition. So for less than $100, you know, in the Super J Louis range, you know, a watch that you're getting for less than 300 more often than not. So under $500, you're getting a watch like this in-house. You know, you're getting a sapphire, you're getting just pretty much a whole lot of fun and a really versatile looking diver. You're getting the JDM appeal as well, for those of you that find that, you know, as being a selling point for collectability. So you're definitely getting a lot for your money. And then, of course, if you're interested in something a little bit bigger in its kind of overall scale, then there's the Angus-J Louis and the Triton just waiting for you. So maybe if you want to do a father-son pairing or a little brother, big brother, however you want it, you got some options for you. So with all that said, let me know what you guys think in the options below. If you like the video, please do hit like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.